of Arisen Strength and Serenely Speaking, and also the spokesperson for the JGF organization. We have a panel here of both Joey Aquilino, of which is also known as Joey Giggles of the JGF organization. Say hi, Joey.
Hello, how are you? Hello.
Then we got Wayne Hacker, and yes, he is a hacker. No, he's not. FBI, you don't have to worry about him. Wayne Hacker of Random Thoughts, Random Access. Is Wayne there?
Hello, everybody. This is Wayne. I'm calling in from Italy.
Okay. And then we have Crystal, and she is the executive director of the JGF organization. And is Crystal with us?
I am with you, and good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Excellent. Well, folks, what we wanted to do for tonight is called the meet and greet with Arisen Strength. I've had a lot of discussions with a lot of the members that are on the new group page, of which we started this week. And I've got a lot of different explanations what people thought Arisen Strength was about. Some of them were really nice, and others were really away from where it is that it was meant to be. So we decided that we're going to all get together. This is the team of Arisen Strength. So when I say we actually do have a we. It's not just me, myself, and I. So we definitely have a team that we believe in the concept of Arisen Strength that we want to bring to as many people as we can in order to support, encourage, or empower, as well as to celebrate with those who have had significantly different types of struggles and challenges in their life to where their dreams and their talents have been suppressed. Another thing that needs to be mentioned too, a lot of people brought up the fact, well, this is just a business, and some people thought that we were exploiting, people's challenges and so forth. For me personally, I deal with my own challenges. I have my situation with chronic depression. I also deal with PTSD, and I also deal with chronic migraines. So I definitely know what it's like to be a patient. I've been in numerous hospital stays because of my struggles and challenges that I dealt with. I actually, later on in the story here tonight, you're going to learn how Arisen Strength really came about, and you're going to find out that it's because I'm a patient first. Before I even became, a speaker or a host or a spokesperson. It all came from me being a patient. So you're going to find that out. And also, Joey, you have some challenges of your own, do you not?
Yeah, actually, I deal with RSD-CRPS, chronic pain condition, out there dealing with the sympathetic nerve of the human body. Basically, all the involuntary functions of the human body is controlled by the sympathetic nerve, and with RSD-CRPS, that's exactly what it attacks, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, and that really is that's a terrible condition. I'm learning more and more about it, and I'm finding that it definitely is something that the more I learn about it, the more I care for the person that I'm talking to about it, because it's something that people really can't get a hold of compared to what the average person would go through, and so I can appreciate what it is that you go through. Crystal, you have some situations that you deal with in real life, other than being the executive director of JGF. You also have your own situation as well as some stuff within the family, do you not?
I indeed do. I, first of all, am a registered nurse, and that's, I guess, what I do best. but I also am a patient. I have battled with and defeated thyroid cancer many, many years ago. It's been over 25 years now. I've had fibromyalgia for about that long, too, that's been diagnosed. And I also have RSD, CRPS, like Joey does. Affects a different area than where Joey's is, but I have a good many medical problems. I'm diabetic, all the nice things that come along with thyroid issues, basically. And I'm not going to say aging because I am just like 29 years old. So it all has to do with the medical problems. But yeah, and I have a daughter that's 19 that has full body RSD, and I'm her caregiver. But I think I've got about all of it in a nutshell, Shane. I don't know. I don't want to make this a crystal show, but that's it. That's good enough.
I think you got the list going pretty good, and you know, but at the same time, you know, I'm sure that there are a number of people that are out there that can understand what it is that you're going through because of the challenges that they face. And then we've got Wayne, which is a very good friend of mine. He produces a lot of the shows and videos that I do in my different aspects with both Serenely Speaking and the JDF organization, and now with Arisen Strength. So we keep them busy. But Wayne, you have a few things that that you have challenged with too, don't you?
Yeah, I have a lifelong battle with bipolar. Although it's just only been recently diagnosed. In the past, it was undiagnosed, and so I was suffering bouts of anxiety and depression and just out of control behavior, and I was doing a lot of self-medicating. So 30-year history of abusing alcohol. Managed to sort of get that under control. Managed to start addressing the bipolar. Got off a lot of the meds that were just treating a lot of symptoms. And now I'm able to sort of manage the bipolar, which is good for staying out of the hospital. It's good for staying in touch with reality. It's good for, I still have some bouts, some periods of some depression, and then there's some periods of like excitement and manic type behavior, but it's not the out of control stuff that I have a long history with, which causes me to do like crazy things, typical things I should say of people with bipolar, which include things like changing careers, moving, just like major life changes out of the spur of the moment kind of thing, and so there's a lot of this cycle of fast rising and then crashing, and so periods of success followed by just kind of throwing it all in and say, start over, and then periods of success and then throwing it all away. So this Arisen Strength does speak to me too on that level. So I'm very happy to be involved.
Well, and believe me, I could not do what it is that I do without the help of yourself and of the people that are here tonight. So I very much appreciate you myself. So there you have it. We're not just entrepreneurs. We're not just business owners. We're not just executives. We actually do know what it's like to be a patient, and in a number of different aspects, whether it be physical and or mental. And so I know that Wayne had mentioned addiction. I too also deal with addiction. Currently, I have the better part of 8 years in recovery. So I can appreciate that as well. But as I've mentioned about Arisen Strength, it came to me as being a patient. I actually have a 20-year career in medical billing and medical consulting. And what happened is that I was actually succeeding in spite of the challenges that I had. And I basically grew up in a family that, they loved me for everything that they could, the way that they knew how. And they told me, if there's a hurdle in your way, well, do everything that you can to get over it, because we don't want you to suffer or be in pain for a good portion of your life dealing with those types of hurdles. Well, I found that out to be that's exactly what I did, but I did it to the extreme, which isn't anything new. If anybody knows me, I'm an extreme type of guy. So I did it to the extreme, and what I did is I ignored what my challenges and my struggles really were, and I ended up crashing. Wayne had mentioned crashing, starting over, doing well, then crashing, starting over, doing well, crashing, starting over. I did that a number of times. In fact, I'm actually going to be writing a book. I've already started working on some pages, 16 States of Addiction, because I lived in 16 different states with my addiction. And what I try to do is I would try to start over from, instead of trying, actually acknowledging and facing the challenges and struggles that I had. Fast forward to 2005, I decided that I was going to go into my recovery, and I came to the conclusion that all my struggles and all my challenges were due to addiction. If anybody has ever dealt with addiction before, it's a terrible world to live in, and it's one that definitely takes it consumes your life, and so it's really easy to think that it has everything to do with everything that you do. So here it is. I was in my recovery, and I was very strong in it, but I still had my challenges, mainly with my mental health. I actually dealt with suicidality, and I still was struggling to where if I ended up slowing down or if I ended up getting off the track for whatever reason, my depression would then jump a hold of me and not let me go. And it would actually bring me to the decision of whether to take my life or not. And in some cases, I decided to commit myself to taking my life. Thankfully, those efforts that I made were not successful, and that's why I'm here today. So I know Joey and Crystal can talk about the challenges that I face in regards to chronic depression, and also in regards to suicide prevention. Joey, why don't you go ahead and let us know about some of the groups that's part of your community?
Yeah, we have a bevy of different groups actually, part of JGF. And one in particular is actually the suicide group, suicide prevention group, or suicide support group that we have. Basically, it's all positivity all the time, trying to make people happy, trying to give people a place where they can come, so they could get away from the negative of life and actually, have a chance to, visit with people who are positive, visit with people who are, up and up and are really, trying to help them, improve their lives, just by being a part of this group. We have the secret group and we have the closed group. The closed group is actually to let Facebook people know that we're there, basically, and they could all come into the closed group. The secret group are only for real special cases, per se, that we feel that these people need more help than the people who are in the closed group. So we would then suggest to them, would you like to join our secret group? And we would, put them in the secret group. And a lot of the times we'd actually just enter them into our secret group if we felt that they needed assistance at that time. So it's more pressing and more urgent with the people that are in the secret group than in the closed group. So that's why we set it up really, so people know we're there. We could set up that closed group so anybody could join that, be a part. Anybody who's positive could be a part of that, and you could all get involved, and we basically help people through the day, post great quotes, nice pictures. We talk about great things. We talk about happy things. And we really try to impress upon people that taking your life is not the right thing to do. There's life can be positive. You just have to make it positive. And that's what we try to impress on the people that are in these two specific groups. So
That's excellent. Like I said, I mentioned myself. I deal with my own challenge regards to suicidality. I actually have been told by numerous doctors that I'm actually addicted to suicidality, and that was quite a bone-chilling day. So I know what it's like to be at that point to make that decision. Crystal, you also have quite a role in suicide prevention with JGF as well, do you not?
I do. I do. Just to go back a bit, I can say that I met both Wayne and Joey at about the same time that I joined the Twitter community, which was back in November of 2007, I believe. So it's been quite a while that I've known both of these guys, and neither of them connected at the time. Just funny how we kind of come full circle and ended up all together. I've been a part of Joey Giggle's family since I joined Twitter. Joey took me right in, and I have a tendency to be on the positive side when it comes to things that I post, and actually really the way that I live my life. So I just like to inspire people. I like to encourage people. I consider myself a good friend and a good listener, and I am empathetic to a fault. So when Joey began to put together JGF really in this organization and restructuring and starting to grow this business, he initially asked me to come on as a volunteer coordinator, and the suicide prevention group was the first group that I was over. And I was in charge of that group alone at the time for about 7 or 8 months, and grew that community, actually very active community. I'm one that believes that anybody that has any kind of mental issues at all, whether it is depression, whether it's schizophrenia, whether it's suicidal ideations, any of these things, I think we have a tendency as a society to see that as on the outskirts of a medical condition. I think that we see that the way it should be seen. If the mind's sick, the body is sick.
Right.
We would not use insulin for a diabetic. It's the same issue. And I think overcoming part of the stigma has been one of the main reasons that I enjoyed the suicide group so much and enjoyed helping the suicide group so much, because they're underserved. There's not enough counseling services. There's not enough facilities. People are afraid to come forward and say, I'm depressed, I'm having trouble, I'm thinking of taking my life. But once we got these groups established, they developed a trust in me, and I still hear from these people all the time. And I consider what I do really important, and I can say I'm not proud of myself per se in doing so. I am proud that we're doing something to where I know we make a difference, and I know that we help. So the suicide group is always going to be very much a big part of my heart. Joey promoted me to executive director, but he'll be the first one to tell you he can't pull me away from that group very easily.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at JGF, actually. So I'm an executive director now, but my heart very much remains with the chronic pain people and also my suicide group people.
Well, that's great. And you're the right person. You definitely have the personality, and you have the compassion, and you have the knowledge in order to be able to help so many that are out there. I know with my situation, I really didn't understand it until I went through intensive therapy, and for the better part of 4 years now. And when I say intensive therapy, it's intensive. It's not just going to a therapist every other week or once a month. I go to intensive therapy almost every day. And then on top of it, I meet with um, my therapist as well, in order to be able to get a handle on what I was feeling and what it is that I was thinking. And I know that um, you know when you're dealing with mental health issues, the thing that is hard to get through is the face that's shown of the patient, because in my case I looked like I was highly functioning, and and I was, but I really looked as if like I had everything going in the right direction. But on the inside, I was anything but that. And so, with that being the case, my mind was just working against me. It had a program that worked against me, that had me think of things in a different way, to where it was very detrimental to me. And so I know what it's like in order to be in that situation. And like I said, both Joey and Crystal, are definitely qualified to be a person, to be able to help another person that's like myself, to go through that. So I very much appreciate that. When I talk about intensive therapy, Wayne, you can talk about that as well, can you not?
Yeah, I went through a similar intensive therapy program. And still, it's less intense now. I only have to go 3 days a week, just for 3 sessions a week. Even it's two groups and a one-on-one. It keeps me. But for a while there, it was 5 days a week, 3, 4 groups a day. But that went on for about a year and a half. There was a lot of work that had to get done. I mean, I had gotten myself into a really dark place, with but just I gave in to the mental illness, what would happen, and I stopped going outside. I was going outside less and less and less, and then one day I just didn't go outside anymore for about a year and a half. I did not leave my apartment, and that does things to you. First, it does things to you to get to that point where you can even do that, but then even that period of kind of shutting yourself off for a year and a half does things to you, and it takes a lot of work to sort of get mentally in a place where you can deal with the situation, and that's what this intensive therapy really works on, is changing your thinking a little bit. It's what they talk about in recovery from addiction. Alcohol abuse was I was definitely a major abuser of alcohol for a lot of years, as I mentioned. To get off that, you have to really change the way you think about. It's not just saying, the words, oh yeah, I got to do this, I got to do that. No, I have to actually change the way I think about things, because if I'm not careful, I end up making choices that in the end look like self-sabotage. They draw me back to the old behaviors. I ended up drinking, in my particular case, because I was self-medicating. I was trying to do something. I was trying to solve a problem in my life, and that was the best choice I came up with, was drinking lots of alcohol. Without changing my thinking, I'd run the risk of picking something else to self-medicate. I'm going to solve this problem, but I'm going to be making bad choices, probably, because I have a history of doing that. So part of the intensive therapy is like saying, okay, I have to think about things completely differently than I would have in the past. And before I can do that, I have to expose myself to a lot of new ideas. I got to see a lot of different things that are going on, so I understand what my choices are. And then when I do start doing things, I have to make sure that I'm doing things that are different than I would have done them. And it is really hard to change your mind on things. And so this intensive therapy has been quite the journey. And I guess maybe I'll just kind of stop talking there before I talk myself through a hole. We'll let it sit for a minute.
Well, I just want to say that I think that through the little discussion that we've done here, we've come to the conclusion that we're not just looking to make a buck off of anybody's type of situation, their challenge, their struggle. We're not trying to just make us look better than anyone else, because we're more like everybody else that we try to help than what we are different. And I know that for me, that was a big thing, was to find a purpose in order to be able to get myself out of the situation that I was in when it came to my struggles and my challenges. Back in 2011, I had something that happened to me that was pretty detrimental, and it was, well, let's just say it was devastating, and I had made an attempt to suicide, and as a result, I had a number of things that was definitely a challenge for me that wasn't a challenge for me before. I actually I had what amounted to a stroke. I actually wasn't able to walk straight. They thought that I had Parkinson's that was dormant within me. I would stutter quite a bit. I wouldn't be able to speak the way that I wanted to. The words that were in my head were not the words that were coming out of my mouth. And it was very, very frustrating. And to this day, I still am challenged with the results of that situation. But I'm much better than what I was. So I'm very thankful in that. But when I said 2011, that was something of a day that started my whole chance at recovery and coming back. And it really was also the beginning of where Arisen Strengths came into play. What I did is, like I said, I went to intensive therapy, and it was in 2013, in December. I was struggling. I wasn't able to live on my own. I had to live in a group home. And I was going to intensive therapy. And one of the concerns that I had was, what was I going to do for work? Because being in the medical field, well, that changes just about daily, and it changes quite drastically quarterly of each year. And so being out of it for 3 to 4 years, that's a lot of days. So I was sitting there and I was trying to figure out what it is that I was going to do for work, and I was really in a depression about it, because I didn't have much education that was credited, that was past high school, because of my struggles and my challenges that I dealt with. The majority of my education became self-taught, and through the internet, through books, through other people. Learning of different ways of being able to do things and being open to that. So now we're fast forward, we're at 2013 in December, and I'm saying to myself, you know what? I'm not supposed to live life and be happy at it the way that I want to be. And I'm a pretty spiritual individual, and what I was saying to myself is, I wasn't supposed to live my life for me. I was supposed to live my life based off of my spirituality and my higher power. And I came to that conclusion, but that didn't make me any more happy because the situation was still pretty grim. But then I remember being in a group therapy, and I remember saying to myself, I don't know, maybe I'm just supposed to use my experiences to help another. Well, then all of a sudden, my heart just went boom. And I didn't say this before, but I'll say it now. I really didn't feel my heartbeat since 2011. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that it was beating, because I wouldn't be alive if it wasn't. But I used to be able to feel that. I used to actually feel what it is that I was impassioned about. I used to really have a sense of loving what it is that I liked. And I didn't have that since 2011. So when my heart went ba-boom, I got my answer. And there wasn't anything big about it. There wasn't, the sky didn't open up. I didn't hear any violins or any music of any kind. There was no rays of sun coming through the window or nothing like that. But it was poignant nonetheless because it actually gave me the answer that I was looking for, and it literally told me, now you're on the right path. And so here, that's where I found myself starting my journey of something that I didn't even know was possible. And I'm sure that Joey probably can talk about something that's similar in his life that brought him to his journey.
Yes. Wow. I definitely had an experience that was strange in the beginning, but then really became very positive. It switched to the positivity. And sometimes you gotta take the negative to get the positive. You know what I'm saying? So in 2008, when I got my injury at work, it was about a 200-pound cart that was rolled over the top of my left foot, left ankle. Didn't really affect any of the bones, but it did affect the muscles and it affected the sympathetic nerve. And 7 months later, they gave me a diagnosis of RSD CRPS. And RSD CRPS, I had no idea what it was. I had no idea what RSD CRPS was. And I asked the doctor, hey, what's RSD CRPS? And he said, go look it up on the computer. I said, oh, thank you, Doc. Appreciate that. I personally would have thought that you would have told me, what it was. But he said, go and do your own research, because it's always good to do your own research. So the doctor was smart. The doctor was smart because, yes, everybody is really supposed to go out there and do their own research and use Google, use Bing, and use these things for what they're really put out there for. It's really put out there for information, so really use these search engines to find the information you need on your ailment or whatever it is. So found out the information. Didn't really sound really good, it sounded very grim, like in Shane's case, sounded really grim of me, living in pain for the rest of my life, which I still live in pain, but it's graduated, and we'll get to that point. But the point of the matter is that, when you get this pain, it goes to your head. When it goes to your head, it affects you mentally. So I would have to say after college even, my brain wasn't right, because it was more or less I couldn't find myself. 8 jobs in 11 years, ladies and gentlemen, 8 jobs in 11 years, and I couldn't find what I really liked, and it was playing mind tricks with me. I was in debt during this time too because of my stupidity of putting and buying things on my credit cards. I was in debt up the gills during this time, so finances wasn't playing a positive role in my life at that point either. So yeah, I was with RSD, had about $100,000 worth of debt because I was stupid, and all based on my choice. Nobody else's choice but my own, and so all of that made me depressed, made me anxiety-filled, just like these gentlemen here, had depression for a long period of time, and even days I still battle with the depression here or there now, but it's different now. But but I basically came out of that. I was on medication for a while. I had panic attacks, had very bad nightmares, so on and so forth. And then I switched. I turned the switch like Shane did, and like the rest of us did here, to turn the switch to say, well, this is my second chance at life. Let me do something with this. Even though I lived in 7, 8, 9, 10 pain, which is really hard to live with, I created a radio station on the internet. I created JGF organization, which is one of the most prolific organizations out there on the internet today. So many people follow it. Over 100,000 people follow JGF. And all I have to say is I'm proud of that. And I don't brag about anything that I do. I am just a proud individual. Okay, I feel that I got my second chance, and I utilized that second chance to be a positive, not only to myself, which it's very therapeutic for me to do shows like this and so on and so forth, but it's very therapeutic for others as well, to listen to my experience, and hopefully heed the word and get out there and try different things, to help yourself, because it's not woe is me, I'm laying in bed, I can't do anything. Get up and do something like I did. Get up and do something like many of the people out there with RSD do. I mean, like some of us can't get up. And there's a great example of a bed-bound RSD patient, okay, that writes books from her bed, write songs from her bed. She's doing all this stuff from her bed, ladies and gentlemen, but yet she's doing something. She's taking that second chance at life and saying, I could do something. Even though I'm laying in bed, I could still do something. So she gets on a computer, she turns on a side, and she does it. Anybody could do it. You just have to have the willpower. So.
That is definitely true, and that's where it's funny how you mentioned the willpower and all that. When I sat there and I hang on, something is not going right here. All right. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. When I finally came to the conclusion that my life was meant to be lived in a different way, I came to the point as to where it was like, okay, my experiences are to help somebody else. Okay, great. How do I do that? What am I going to do about that? Well, the first thing that I came to mind was, well, maybe I'll write a book. And if anybody knows how to write a book, and I know Joey does, because he's actually has his own book that has published, and very proud of knowing him, know that he went through that process and completed it. It's very easy to start a book. It's not the easiest thing to finish. And even worse, I wasn't very good at what I was doing. I wasn't very good at making the chapters correlate with the one before it, and I was getting very frustrated. And then all of a sudden, as I was getting frustrated, I didn't want to lose faith in the thought of what it is that I wanted to do. So I said, okay, what can I do now? And then I decided, well, out of the writings that I have, I actually have a presentation there. And that all of a sudden started making sense, because I used to do a lot of speeches. I used to do a lot of public appearances in regards to being a consultant for medical billing and teaching other people how to do medical billing and everything. So it started to make sense that now I can use my whole skill set that I was given, for my higher power. And what was going on is I said, all right, I'm going to do a presentation. And I decided to do this presentation, and it was called, ironically, From a Patient's Point of View. And what I did is I took that presentation and I went to different hospitals and I went to different outpatient clinics to be able to express what it's like to be a patient from my point of view as a patient to the clinical staff. And it started rolling more and more and more. The more that I got involved with the different clinics and the different hospitals, they would go ahead and they would tell me, this is a great idea, and to keep on going with it. So I said, all right, well, I'm on the right path. So I decided that I was going to write another presentation, and that presentation was called Navigating Depression. And one of the things that I learned with my depression is that there's two different words. There's two words that are the exact same, but there's two different meanings to them. One is depression as an emotion, and one is depression as the illness or the struggle or the challenge. And I then went out to different venues, and I spoke on that as to what depression really meant to a patient of the challenges that I went through. So I started doing this thing, and it needs to be said that I wasn't like thinking that I was doing everything right all the time. I pretty much just let my higher power just kind of guide me to where I was going to be, and gradually things made a difference. As to where in a year I had two 40-minute presentations, I had two 20-minute presentations, I had two poems, and I had the start of a book. So things were going along just fine without me being at the steering wheel. So then we're going to fast forward to where I met up with Wayne and Crystal. Wayne was a friend of mine, and Crystal was a friend of Wayne's. So we decided that we had things in common, so we became friends. And all of a sudden, I started talking to Crystal about what it is that I used to do, what I like to do, and that is to speak on behalf of the patient. And Crystal had said that was a great thing, and she said, I'm part of an organization that does something similar. And I said, really? I says, and she started telling me about this JGF organization, of which Joey had mentioned before. And I said, wow. I says, okay. I says, well, tell me about it. And so she told me about how it was a number of different groups with a number of different subjects that pertain to both medical and mental health issues, as well as animal rights, human rights, all these things that kind of like was really kind of a hot topic that I wanted to speak on. And I didn't want to just be caught into the niche of speaking on behalf of the patient in regards to mental health, because I also have my medical situations as well. And I wanted to be able to speak on that, as well as be able to speak on motivation. Because as Joey mentioned, turning the thought or turning your beliefs to work for you is very empowering. And I learned how to do that, and I decided that I wanted to speak on that as well. So I went to Crystal, and Crystal, if you're still with us, do you remember that conversation?
Oh yeah, I'm still here, and I do remember very well. Number one, that I was just proud of you being able to share your story with me, and honored that you could trust me enough to do so. Your values, your mission correlates so much with what Joey has for his organization, for what each of us that work with JGF are there for. We're volunteers. We do this to help other people. We have no other vested interest other than helping other people, which is exactly what you are doing. And I was just so excited to find another person that whose values fall in line with exactly what we believe in. I very much do remember the conversation, and I very much remember first meeting you when Wayne introduced us. So now here we are in all big love fest here, and it's turned out to be a really great thing, a really great partnership. But I think it's that way with each of us within our own, with our own personal values, our own personal goals. And when we band together like this, we're unstoppable, people. We change the world. We do it. We're already doing it.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And actually, when Crystal came to me, she said, "Look, you know, Joey's really busy. He's doing a lot of different things with JGF." And I didn't take no for an answer. And Crystal pretty much knew that when I said, "Can I speak with Joey Giggles?" Um, and she kind of said, "You know, I would really appreciate it if you did." So she kind of knew that I wasn't going to take no for an answer, because I really felt that my ideas of what I wanted to do with Arisen Strength was going to be a perfect platform for what the JGF organization is all about. And so now we're here, we're talking about Arisen Strength, and this is the whole point of where this group came from, and that is to help others. And as you can tell through the whole entire panel here, from Crystal to Joey to Wayne to myself, we know what it's like to not feel the best, and we know what it's like to be challenged and have struggles. My thought is that I wanted to be able to empower people to be able to still live their dreams, to be able to still live their talents and their capabilities, even though and in spite of the challenges that they face. And I know that that sounds real easy to do, or it's real easy to say, and it's less easier to do. But really, what I was trying to do is I'm trying to get people to know that they're going to have some struggling days. There's no question about it. I mean, when we talk about chronic situations like chronic depression, when we talk about RSD, when we talk about you know, bipolar, when we talk about injuries that, you know, that people go through, or back situations, or even addiction, or whatever the case may be, we know that there's going to be struggling days. There's no doubt about that. What we talk about at Arisen Strength is to live the days that are good to their fullest, and to be able to say, I live that exactly the way that I wanted to. We want to empower people to be able to take their lives back, because they are more than their illness. They are more than their injury. They are more than their challenge or their struggle. They are people that have dreams and have talents that still are within you. And I know that I mentioned in one of my videos, and when I came out with the announcement of Arisen Strength, you know, it's not going to be that difficult for me to get you to get the member or the patient to be able to live your impassion again, because you already have it within you. You've had it there. It just was suppressed for whatever reason, whether it be a bad experience that you had, whether it be, I deal with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. You know, it's like I've had a number of situations as to where I definitely was suppressed from doing the things that I wanted to do, and I didn't even realize it. And that's another thing, is to bring awareness, which is a big thing with the JGF organization. And we're kind of running out of time, so I'm going to with the JGF organization, they're very big on bringing awareness to these illnesses, to these struggles, to the challenges that people face. They also are very big in animal rights and atrocities that are happening with animals that are definitely not something that we would agree with. So this is what Arisen Strength is all about. It's to empower people to be able to live the life that they want to live when they can. It's not going to be an everyday thing. We understand that. And another thing is that when I say talents and dreams, look, I'm not talking about being a fireman. I'm not talking about being a ballerina. I'm not talking about, for my purpose, I'm not talking about being a golf pro. You know, what I'm saying is that we have talents that are out there that, in some cases, the talent is to be a caregiver. The talent is to be a supporting cast of another person, because that's what you do greatly. And that's something that impassions a person, and that's something that gives purpose. What made me grow and what made me mature out of my depression, made me out of my PTSD, was a purpose to do something. It was a purpose to be able to get up in the morning. It was a purpose to work. I have now, literally, I have 3 companies that I advertise for and work for. I have my speaking career, I have Arisen Strength, and I have JGF Organization. I do that because it's a purpose to do, and it's something that gave me an outlet to be able to utilize my energy, to be able to utilize my strength, to be able to turn my thoughts in my head in the right direction. That's what Arisen Strength is all about, and that's why we have this panel here. You've heard the stories, and there are many more stories, and believe me, we are not ones that are closed off. You can message any one of us, and we will gladly talk to you. Crystal had talked a number of times in regards to not letting go of the suicide prevention group. That's because a lot of people keep contacting her back, and she doesn't want to let go. Joey, I know, is always talking to people in regards to things. I personally, lately, over this past week and a half, I personally have introduced myself to over 50 people. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but I talked with 50 people. I didn't just advertise what Arisen Strength was. I literally talked with 50 people to be able to give them an idea how I am and what I do and what we are trying to do with Arisen Strength. And I believe that it's only going to get bigger as we go along, because we're going to talk about some subjects that are the lock and key to what it is that people have their challenges and strengths that suppress their dreams and their talents that they have and their capabilities. So that's really what Arisen Strength is all about. We're coming to about an hour now, and I'm going to let the panel say the last closing remarks. It seems like an hour goes by quick when we do this, doesn't it? Joey, what do you think?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it definitely goes by really quick. Just a couple of things. JGF is all about entrepreneurialism. We feel that people have talents, and we want to promote those talents. We also deal with people who are disabled, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Almost 95% of the staff of JGF is disabled, so we want to give people a second chance. We are also the voice of the voiceless, and people that don't want to stand up, the animals that can't speak. We are the voice of the voiceless. But one main thing that I want to bring up before we go here is the fact that we're not here to take your money. Okay, what we are here to do is we're here to teach you, we're here to advocate for you. Okay, it's not taking money. What we are doing and how we will make money is on the advertisers, is on the big businesses, the corporations. We're not taking any money from the patient. We care about the patient. We want to help fix the patient, and we want to do whatever we can for the patient. It has nothing to do with taking money from the patient. So I just want to let everybody know this. When I talk about Palomar, when I talk about great treatments out there, okay, I'm not selling them. Okay, I'm not selling any treatments. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm advocating for you and teaching you about the various treatments that are out there. Okay, so just keep in mind, the advertisers, the big businesses, the corporations that have the millions of dollars, that's who we're going after. Okay, we're not going after you. We want to help you. Okay, so goodbye, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, Joey. Crystal, you want to say a last closing remark?
Well, Shane, I just wanted to say that, all 3 of you guys, I love you all, and I'm so proud of what you are dealing with, what you've overcame, and how you have turned that into an outlet to help other people. I think that is the number one step. I think empowerment is a great thing. It is a great tool to have. You've got a story, you've got strengths, and you've got something to give this world, and you're needed in this world. So don't think that what you have is what you are. You are much more than that, and you have so much to offer to the world. And that's what you stand for with Arisen Strength. That's what JGF stands for. That's what I stand for individually. And I would have it no other way. You can't wallow in self-pity when you're busy helping other people. Helping other people helps yourself. So I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud of Arisen Strength. I'm proud of JGF. I'm proud of all that we've done. And we'll just continue to grow. And we just invite you to all come jump on board with all of us. Talk to any of us. We're available. Leave us messages. However you need to do, we're glad to talk to you. We're here to help. And love you guys. That's all. Love you much.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much,
Crystal.
Crystal. And then there's Wayne the man. And let me tell you, I left him for last because there's a reason, and that is because Wayne seems like he's in the background quite a bit. But let me tell you something, he's not in the background in our lives at all. He helps me with the different videos that we do. We do a number of videos monthly, if not weekly. He also he does produce a number of different shows that we do. And God, he has a number. I forget what it is. I know it's going down, but I think he's got almost 1,000 different friends in regards to Twitter and on Twitter alone. And then he's got his Facebook. So he definitely does chat. So feel free to give him a message every once in a while too, because I don't doubt he'll talk to you. What do you think, Wayne?
Well, it came up a couple times tonight. People mentioned it, and I think you used the phrase, Shane, even turning the mind. Joey talked about that. Christopher referenced it. And it reminds me of like this little expression that kind of encapsulates a lot of Arisen strength. And it's almost a silly little thing, but it says, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. And part of Arisen strength is that switching the can't to a can, so you can realize that strength that you have inside. And Joey talked about it, the positivity and being positive, and related to that was this little thing that I know you and I have talked about, Shane. When we're faced with a crisis, and we think crisis, and it's this negative thought in the head that a crisis is negative. But we can slowly start changing that if we think of the crisis as a challenge.
Right.
And that kind of perks us up a little bit, and then we can crank it one more notch and say it's an opportunity. And who doesn't want an opportunity? So if you imagine a crisis outside your door, you can end up like me, hiding inside for 1.5 years. And if you just change your mind, turn the mind a little bit so that crisis becomes a challenge, becomes an opportunity, that wolf at the door is now opportunity knocking. And then you only have to answer.
Yes.
And I think to me that's what a lot of what Arisen Strength is about. And so I'm looking forward to this journey.
And I can't think of any other way to say it, except for the fact that, we are here with you. We're not going anywhere. If anything, we're going to get bigger and we're going to get louder. We're going to get more enthusiastic. We're going to talk about a lot of different subjects that are out there that people have a struggle in talking about. But we want to hear from you, the patient, you, the member, you, the person, more. Contact us at #ArisenStrength on Twitter. We also have our group. The group is actually called the Arisen Strength Family. I say that because as I got to learn more of the people that are there, I started thinking about them and rooting for them as if they were my family. So that's why we changed it to that way. And the concept of Arisen Strength is only going to get bigger, and it's only going to grow. And with the affiliation with the JGF organization, and my company's Serenely Speaking, and also Random Thoughts with Random Excess. You know, we plan on being here for a long time, and we plan on having a good time doing it. So I want to say thank you to everybody on the panel. I want to say thank you for your time. I know it's a little bit more than an hour. I hope that it was entertaining for you. I hope it was even more information than what it is that you had before. And, you know, I want to say God bless and that we're here for you. Good night, all.